Thank you ever so much, everyone, for attending our session. I'll grab the clicker. My name is Barry Coombs. I am CTO of Kascade. I'll introduce Kascade a little bit in a moment. For my sins, I've been a vExpert for about 15 years now. Basically means I've got no social life. I've spent far too much time looking at technologies, having home labs and writing books and things like that. So what I wanted to do today, working with my colleague at Druva, I'll pass over to Ian in a moment to introduce himself, is just kind of bring to you a little bit of my collective experience. I've been helping companies protect their data over the last 20 years. As ever, we have got a solution, but it won't be the right solution for everyone. So what I want to get out in this session is more the lessons learned, because every single customer that I visit has always got something else they should be doing with data protection. Or there's always those few guilty looks that if you ask them a question, they kind of go inside themselves and go, yeah, I know I should be doing that, but I'm not doing it. So I really hope that you can take away something actionable for you today. If you like what you hear, then make sure you come past the Kascade stand. We've got lots of bribes, gifts to give away, Lego, hot chocolate, mince pie, rating cards, whatever takes your fancy to come and have a chat with our team. Ian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Ian Heptinstall. I'm a senior systems engineer. I think that's my job title now at Druva. So I work for a vendor. But I've worked in data protection for about 20 odd years, and I've worked as a customer, I've been a managed service partner, and now I'm working in vendor land, so hopefully I've got some experience I can give you from all sorts of different walks of life. And I am actually, I said it before, but I'm going to be doing a live demo of the Druva product a little bit later on, after we've gone through kind of the conversation around data protection and the changes in that over the last few years and the future beyond.
Can everyone at the back of the room hear us okay? I'm just mindful we've not got any projection. Down or up, did you say on the clicker?
Down on that one.
Before I click the wrong button and something explodes.
Have you switched it on?
You have to go.
I can do it if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, we're not back to that stage.
Oh, I know why. Sorry. Already an IT issue. I'll just do it with my mouse.
There we go. So what we're going to talk to you today is a bit about evolution of data protection. Hi, Andy. You all right, mate? Data protection challenges and lessons. They're constantly evolving, constantly changing. I want to give you some actionable tips that you can take away, even with your existing technology today, and go and make sure that you are better protected than when you came and joined us today. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why we selected Druva for our managed service. And that's what we're here talking to people about today. I think we're now Europe's biggest MSP that manages Druva environments for our customers. Ian said, shall I do some canned demos or shall I do some live demos? I said, it's VMUG, you've got to do live demos. So I've thrown him under the bus there, and we're going to get some live demos. And as ever, we've got more bribes, raffle prizes to give away. Next slide, please. There we go. Back to the future. Does it get any more cool tech than that? Back to the future and Lego. Come to our stand, have a chat, grab a free hot chocolate, and be entered to win the Lego car. So who are Kascade? We are a VMware partner, a Dell partner, but most of all, we are a Microsoft Cloud Services provider. We specialize, I was thinking, that every single event, this is my third event of this week I've been to, everyone mentions AI at the moment. Hands up if you're getting bored about the conversations of AI. Right, well, we specialize in AI, means actual intelligence. We've got people that know, excuse my language, know their shit, that help customers do what they need to do inside their data centers. I'm sure there's some AI somewhere in there, but you're not going to get any AI bullshit from me today. I just want to talk about stuff that you can actually go and do to help improve your environments. As a company, we specialize in modern workspace. That does not mean going and deploying something just like Omnissa or Citrix. They're cool bits of tech. It actually means understanding what your users need, what your business needs. We've been a training company for 20 to 30 years. We actually talk to people inside businesses, and we help them be more productive with things like Microsoft 365, with Power Automate and things like that. The hybrid cloud, because we're all in the hybrid cloud these days, we can help people. We've been a VMware partner for as long as I can remember. I think Virtual Infrastructure Free was the first version I installed. I'm sure, hands up if you installed something older than that in this room. There's got to be a couple of you. Only one. So we've done that. We've got an awesome team. As I've mentioned, I'm a vExpert. We've got another vExpert in the company, but equally we've got other people that have fantastic hands-on experience with VMware technologies But I've got to be honest, and I've got to be careful, because there might be some VMware people in the room. There are also other hypervisors available today, and other people are making other choices. So at the moment, we are seeing people looking at the options, whether that is moving to the cloud, whether that is choosing a different hypervisor, or more than likely, a little bit of both. And finally, you cannot be in the world of IT these days unless you have a bit of a security specialism. I like to talk about us as being a bottom-up security specialist. What does that mean? We specialize in securing the platforms that we can help implement for you, support and manage. I do not have a red team, a blue team, and all of these kind of things. We partner with fantastic people like Arctic Wolf that can provide that top-down approach, but we can help you make sure that the platforms where your systems are protected, and that's kind of where we're coming from today. You all have a golden ticket in front of you. Feel free to take several. We run a conference that is over 200 people attending. It is down in Bristol. It's a wonderful part of the UK if you don't get to visit there on a regular basis. We have fantastic speakers flying in from America, from Europe. We like to try and bring the best of the worldwide conferences to the UK. So if you are exploring multiple different technologies, if you would like to hear talks from people that are techies, that know how to implement stuff and not marketing pitches, it hopefully would be an event that would be interesting you. We'd love you to attend. Ticket in front of you has got a QR code on it, or go to definetomorrow.co.uk. So, the only use of AI in this is my awful pictures, because we're at VMUG. And you don't know how long it took me to persuade it to. Okay, it was against community guidelines asking for a data center to be on fire, apparently. So I had to convince it that that isn't what I wanted and still get the output. I've been doing data protection stuff since tape. For many of my customers, that's yesterday. We still don't seem to have moved away from the tape in lots of worlds, but I've been doing this since physical servers and before. I've seen many what's the word I'm looking for? I've broken. Iterations, yes. I've seen many iterations of cool technologies come in and take over as the next best thing. I am not going to vendor bash. I think there are multiple cool technologies out there that can help and serve you. I think we've just found something that's fitting really well for our customer, and that's why I'm going to talk about that today. But the legacy of data protection, for me, it was completely revolutionized when we went from physical servers to virtual servers. How much easier was it to back up a collection of files on a virtual environment with snapshot technology built in, using the wonderful next generation technologies that came available? And we've been riding that wave. There's been vendors out there that took over at that point that have been leading and just growing and growing ever since. The wonderful people that started those organizations are now enjoying their retirement and their yachts and their second homes and things like that. The industry has changed. But sometimes I am concerned that the fundamentals of data protection are often overlooked. Many of the customers that I work with do not have someone that their job is to sit there and look after the backups, look after the risk, make sure it's working and test it. And this is where I see some of the gaps coming in. And then we've had this little problem called cloud, where our data, we kind of done the hokey cokey, right? We had all of our servers all over the place, and we brought them all together with one backup technology for many of those things, and it was all came together. It was all easy to back up, to manage, to have DR. I don't know how many implementations of VMware SRM I did for quite big companies where I had to show 1,000 VMs failing over in 5 minutes to another data center. But the world's changed. A large majority of my customers, their data is not just in their VMware environment or multiple VMware environments. It's going to be in the cloud as well. They're going to be running some virtual machines in Azure or AWS. Maybe some of you are looking at containers. You're probably going to have data in things like Microsoft 365 or maybe Google Workspace as well. Our data is fragmented. The people have also fragmented thanks to that word that we're not going to mention anymore. Next slide, please. No, don't. But that kind of was what was related to it, that the people are now everywhere, the data is now everywhere, the application is now everywhere, and your business still expects you to be improving how you're securing all of that, not taking away from it from that perspective. And then on top of that, we've then got an even bigger security challenge. Now, when we have had that call from people that have had a ransomware attack or a failure, the first thing that we talk about is, where is your recovery? When did you last test it? What is going on there? And near enough every time that that is a cyber incident, The backup infrastructure is the first part of the infrastructure that has been attacked. Now, hopefully you're doing replication to another site, or maybe you've invested in immutable backup technologies, but we're seeing that as being the first area that people, the attackers, the threat actors, are heading for and looking for. We're also seeing the type of threats change, and I think Ian will probably expand on this a little bit more, but it isn't necessarily just about encrypting your data anymore. It can be about doing mass changes of your data. How would you be spotting those kind of things? I don't know, in terms of that challenge piece, if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and again, I'll do it in the live demo, but it's not always that they come in and they just delete your data or they encrypt your data day one. It's always about understanding your business. Now, these are ransomware gangs. Well, they're not gangs by that terminology. They're actually companies, the corporations. So they get in, they look at your data, they look at what you're doing, and then they make subtle changes. Then they make mass changes. And before you know it, they've been in there 90 days, 180 days, and they've made lots of different changes. And it's understanding when they happen and when it's then becomes so impactful to your business. And we'll do some of that in the live demo. But the biggest part for me is all of that needs lots of different technologies, and that's why partnering with a service provider to understand them layers is really, really important for me.
Hands up if you've had to help a company overcome a massive ransomware attack. Wow, a small few of you. How about a massive DR incident? Okay, more of you from that perspective. I've been involved in many of both, and I can tell you, knowing your plan and knowing what you need to do and having a cool, calm head are about the most important things. I've seen some of the most intelligent, technical people turn into a mess in those situations, both of those situations and when they occur.
I'll just ask another question though, because there weren't that many hands up for cyber attacks, and I've been in the IT industry and I've seen lots of different ones from kind of WannaCry in 2017 through. How many of you though are so confident that if you did get attacked, you would actually be able to recover? Does anybody want to put their hand up and say they're confident in recovering?
I think they might be thinking they're jinxing themselves if they put their hand up to that one.
And that's kind of another way of looking at this. Disaster recovery, I bet if you had a flood or a failure like that, you probably would put your hand up and say, actually, I probably could recover from that. But from a cyber attack, can you confidently and competently recover from a cyber attack? And I think that's kind of the challenge today.
So as a CTO of an MSP, managing strategies, helping customers with strategies for multiple companies, our companies are ranging anywhere from a couple of hundred users up to a few thousand users. So we're probably not getting involved at the biggest bank level, but we've got a good mix of customers across there. And that's really interesting to see what all of those are doing. Sometimes the smaller customers can be a bit more agile than some of the bigger customers, but the challenges can be similar across both. I have, and I don't know if any of you are in similar CTO positions, for every single technology that is in my stack, I have what are my thoughts on it today? What would make me consider looking at something else? And what is my desire? Even if that technology does not exist today, I think it's really important to document what your ideal standard would be, because that means that you can constantly evaluate your technology stack. And I do this constantly for all of the technologies we've got to make sure that we have the right stack of technologies in our portfolio. So I was seeing fantastic technologies come out the virtualization era, but in my opinion, some of them maybe not holding up to grace of time. They were seeing distributed backup technologies coming in. So lots of people went, right, so I'm using X technology on premises to back up my VMware environment. I've then gone and put some stuff in Microsoft 365, and I've invested in a technology to go and do that. I'm then using Azure backup to go and back up what's in Azure. And all of a sudden, the backups that were brought together by virtualization have been disaggregated. They're all over the place. So this creates complexity in terms of standards, in terms of reporting. But there's also the opportunity that because our data is now everywhere, could there be an opportunity for the backup to be the one place where all our data comes together again? Could this be the place where we use to find out what security challenges are going on inside our environment? What trends are going on amongst all this different data? And maybe at some point in the future, could this be a place that we use for data analysis? So I think there's a really big opportunity there. But a lot of people that we're talking to really want to improve their backup, but it's only 1/5 of the job that they are doing. So I did see an opportunity for us as an MSP that specialized in this space to help people implement technology. So I wanted to implement a technology that was cloud first. You don't need to invest tens of thousands of pounds in hardware in any data center to be able to roll this out inside your business. I wanted to have single point of management so we could help and support multiple customers. But being a member of the VMUG community, I didn't want to be removing the keys from anybody's virtual infrastructure. I know a lot of us like to be in control of what we're doing. So I wanted to make sure that it was a partnership agreement where you could be in control, but you have trusted advisors to come in and go and do it. Got to have enhanced security. So now was the time for action. Now is the time to go out there and do things. So I want to give you a few recommendations here that you can go away today and go and start doing inside your infrastructure. Hands up here if you have a fully documented service catalog that you've reviewed in the last few months. Fantastic. Good to see one hand in the room. So one and a bit hands in the room. So for me, look, you can look at the standards like ITIL and things like that. I am all for finding the bits that work for organizations. And one of the things that repeatedly I do time and time again is help companies come up with a service catalog. What a service catalog is do not go and ask your colleagues in your IT departments, what services do we run for the business? Go and ask the users, what services do we run for you? What applications are you using? And you should be documenting these services in a service catalog where you can then list each of those out. I did this for a major NHS institute, and I found that one of the most critical business systems in one of their units was run on an Access database that was stored on quite a widely open public file share, not public in nature, but public inside the organization. That potentially could have massive risks for downtime, but equally the level of confidential data. So this is a good opportunity to find where that data is. Then the next thing, as techies, we are going to then map that through from these are the services, and this is what the related infrastructure is. So to run XYZ application, we need this back end, this front end, this middleware that is needed to be there. Things like domain services need to be up before that they are ready to go and do that. We're ultimately trying to get to a set of figures that are RPO and RTO. Who can tell me what RPO is? Well done, the person in marketing. And RTO. But the problem is, if you go to your business and go, how much data can we afford to lose? They're going to go, none. We cannot afford to lose their data. And if you go, well, how long can we afford to be down? They go, no, we cannot afford to be down. So then you put a bill in front of them for £1 million for the ultimate available, synchronously replicated DR environment that is not going to have anything. They go, we can't do that. It's too expensive. So I recommend focusing on two other areas. The mean time for data loss, the max time for data loss and the max time for MTDL and MT, basically the maximum amount of time that you can afford to be down and the maximum amount of data you can afford to lose. And when I say maximum, I mean maximum. If you flip over that, your business will go out of business. Now, that's something that you can think about a little bit more and get realistic. It's not a target, it's not a goal. It is something to help you then recommend to the business an RPO and RTO. So we've got this spreadsheet for the want of a better way of doing it. We've got all the services mapped down to all the relevant VMs and other conscripts that are building up those environments. We've got the maximum tolerable data loss and maximum tolerable downtime. We then built out an RPO and RTO, try and get it into 3 groups. Bronze, silver, and gold in terms of recovery. You do not want huge different priorities in terms of recovery. You need to know the ones that you're going to try and recover first. And then go and map that through to which backup technologies. And what are you doing for DR to be able to bring this up? Today we're focusing more on the world of backup. But what we're seeing is with workloads all over the place now, a bit of VMware, we're seeing a lot of Azure Local, Azure Stack HCI as it was called previously to last week, going environments. We're seeing Azure. What are your plans and how would you recover in a DR environment? We've got something called Kascade Recover where we will replicate from any of those environments, do DR tests for you, because that's the other question I love asking, right? I look someone in the eye and go, when did you last do a DR test? And they kind of look away from me quite quickly. Well, we should do it once a quarter, but last quarter we had this problem, and it's kind of slipped out from that perspective. And then we need to be having a look at the backup technologies. So we're going to bring it all together. We need to look at security. We want to be cloud-based, don't want to invest in a load of hardware. So Ian, do you want to show us how Druva has helped Kascade and our customers?
Yeah, okay. So we're going to do a live demo on this Wi-Fi. Again, I'll keep repeating that because if anything goes slow, I will be blaming
me.
I'm just going to blame the Wi-Fi. So the Druva platform is completely cloud-based. So it's quite interesting hearing Joe earlier today explain kind of in 20 what is it, 2011, they were looking at how software-defined data center would run and how we'd get to the cloud, and he had SaaS. He had PaaS at 2012 and he had SaaS just above. And I'm gonna steal that because SaaS in 2013 was actually where Druva was. So we built our platform in the cloud in 2013, and it was all done with cloud-native APIs, and the vision was to be a unified platform that was completely secure. So our first ever backup was encrypted in transit, encrypted at rest, and immutable and air-gapped. So first backup in 2013. If you think about today's conversation, it should be, you're moving people from just standard backups now to immutable backups. It's kind of like the what people expect as the default, but also kind of the future for now. Whereas I'd say it should already have happened, you should already have been there. You now need to be looking at the kind of unified data footprint and how do we then protect our data further, not just having this copy that can't be deleted by ransomware or by a corporation that comes in and attacks that data. So that should just be default. Everybody, if you don't have immutable backups, you should be not ashamed of yourself, because that's really harsh, but you should be really considering changing to that. But then you should be then, reinfection is kind of the biggest thing, and I'm going to cover that off in a bit more detail. But this is our unified console. This is just a very basic view of everything that this customer has got. So they've got enterprise workloads, including VMware, because we're at VMUG, we've got VMware there, but we do have Azure Stack HCI, Nutanix, again, other hypervisors are available, file service SQL, endpoints, Microsoft 365. So we're bringing it all into one place. But when we do that, are we actually a problem at that stage, or are we a benefit? And we believe we're absolutely a benefit, because when you unify your backup, you're unifying all of that data, we take that telemetry and we can start doing things with it. And that's what I'm going to show you today, because backup is not sexy, but recovery for me is quite sexy, because if you can recover your data properly, you're in a great position. You're like the hero from the, whatever you want to call it, the IT service desk. You're finally adding real value to your customers when they, or end users when they have downtime. So I'm going to go into this. We've got these, what we call cyber resiliency. So again, just showing you a bit more of the console. We've got lots of things going on. It grows as you develop your services with the Druva platform. But if we focus on the security area, so I'm going to just take an example. We've had an attack, and all we're doing now in the service desk is running around like headless chickens going, what do we do to stop this attack? And you might go in, you might unplug things out of your data center, you might start shutting down systems, and kind of getting on the phone to either cyber insurance people, you might be getting on the phone to other third parties, maybe your security advisors, whatever. You're just doing a lot of kind of mumbling and rumbling. If you come to the Druva platform, what we're actually doing is already seeing this data that's come up into the Druva platform. So even if you think that you might have had an alert or you've not had an alert and you don't really know where to go, come into the Druva platform and you can start looking at who's accessing your data, and you can see it from different locations or all locations. So this is a new person that's come into my Druva platform and started downloading my data. I can also see where admins are logging in. So kind of just building out a picture to see if they've infiltrated your backups. Just so you know, if they do infiltrate your backups, we've got lots of things, and we're going to cover some of them in a second about how you can protect that. But maybe somebody has come in here, the new person called Bern has logged in from Germany. We don't have anybody in Germany. We're all from the UK or from India. And we've got a guy from Germany now logged in. He's a legitimate admin, but I can now start building up a picture of who's got access to my data and what they're doing. But if it was from the agent side of things, so if it was from the endpoints or from the virtual machines, I can actually start seeing things to do with mass deletion and encryption and modification. And the reason why we look at mass is everything that's happening in your environment is constantly changing. So if we were constantly alerting on some things changing, some things deleting, some things encrypting, that just wouldn't be enough. You'd get fatigue alert, and you'd end up in a situation where you just ignore all the alerts, and you'll end up in the same situation anyway, and you'll have a ransomware attack or a cyber attack. So what we like to do is alert you when mass things are happening. And when I say mass as well, by the way, we use AI, machine learning, as everybody does, because AI is the answer. Who cares what the question is? And we build up a benchmark of your data. So everybody's data is different, and we build up that benchmark. And then what we can do is say, right, this is different to what it normally does. So if you've been looking for 30 days at this virtual machine, and all it ever has is 5 or 6 files created and a couple of changes, that's now the benchmark for that virtual machine. When it gets above 20 files or more, depending on your threshold, but if you get above 20 files, we're now going to start doing a scan, and we're now going to start alerting on that information. So that, again, when I say mass, 20 and above in files, and it'll automatically do it anyway if it does it over 500. So lots of things are coming. And then what happens, it builds a profile for which virtual machine's having the problem and giving you some telemetry in the GUI, but also then a file to download to get that information. So I can see in this, obviously, we've called it UDA because it's unusual data activity. That is constantly changing, but the benchmark is changing as well for us. So as you can see here, I've got 10,000 files that have been modified or deleted on this device. I can come in here, I can just download the logs, but that's investigation. What can I actually do as an action? I can go straight in and quarantine this backup. So I'm not going to ever stop the backups. The backups will carry on running as normal. I can quarantine all snapshots so people can't do a restore while I investigate that device. Or I can quarantine from the start, the point in time when I actually see it. So again, if this came in on the whatever date it was, so it's 13th of November, I can quarantine all of my backups now for that device until whenever I unquarantine it. Or, like with lots of things, I've been infected, I've recovered. What do I do with that data? Do I now just leave that data available for anybody to recover it at any point? I can actually quarantine for a set period of time, and then that data will never be able to be backed up. It'll always be there as a retention point, and it'll just phase out in my normal backup routine, but I can actually stop anybody from recovering that data from that point of time. So we're on about containment, and we're on about how to then kind of react positively when we're in a situation where everything's on fire. So that's our kind of safety net. But at that point, we now need to start doing recovery of the data. So if we go into, again, I'm having to turn my head because it's not on this screen here. We've got the ransomware recovery option. So this is the bit now where we get the get out of jail free, hopefully. So we've quarantined our resource, and we now need to take action against that resource to do that recovery. So I can go into my quarantine bay. I can go and find my, this case it's SharePoint, and I can go in here and I can look through and do what we call a curated snapshot. So SharePoint, I've had my attack, as you can see here, somebody's done, I've blocked everything out. My alert, though, came on the 13th of November. What I'm going to do now is from the 12th of November, I'm going to create what we call a curated snapshot. For people in the term, it's more of a golden snapshot. So I'm going to take the 12th of November and go right through to today and go through and clean all of the clean all of the files that are broken, or go to the last known good point for the files that are in there. And what I'm going to end up creating is what we call this snapshot that you can then go in and just recover directly. So even though I'm quarantining all of that data, what I'm doing is creating a separate backup that I can now recover from that I know to be clean. The benefit of creating a curated snapshot is not just the data loss element, but I actually can come in here and I can even from 0-day attacks. So let's say our proprietary software has seen that it's encrypted. It's alerted that it's encrypted, but no known, there's no Sophos, there's no Defender, nothing knows about this virus yet. So you're still talking to your security company to get them to give you the right definitions, the right updates to clean that data. What we can do is say, here's a start date, 13th of November, until today. And what I'm also going to do is I know it's changed every single file to .crypto. So I can now come in here and say, anything that is .crypto is also bad in this golden snapshot. So I'm now going to go for all of that data and say that .crypto is a last known bad and go to the last known good of that file. We end up then with that solution that we can recover even in a 0-day attack situation. And you should be able to do this kind of things in your backups because that's where all of the data is going to be relied on for recovery. You might use snapshots, you might use some other legacy tape data, but when you want to be able to do it cleanly and prevent any reinfection, you want to be able to use tools like this within the platform, and this is in the Druva platform. We also do additional third-party malware scanning as well. All of that is contained in the Druva platform. Doesn't use any CPU cycles, RAM, or anything on your data center. It's all done securely in the Druva platform, ready to then recover back down to your source location. So again, backup's not sexy, recovery can be. If I come into here, I've also got modification settings that I can build out like additional files, file scanning for file hash, IOCs, kind of build out that security portfolio. And again, I can import plenty of these. So again, if it's something that's just been launched in the world and we know about the file hashes, add in the file hash, it'll do the exact same thing when it goes through that curated recovery snapshot element. We're at VMUG and we're running out of time, but if you think about VMware, what can I do for VMware? I can do that unusual data activity, so I can find encrypted, mass deletion, mass modifications. When I do recovery, I can do standard recoveries, so full VMs, full virtual machines, full individual files. I can also do a concept of sandbox recovery, so I can recover back into my production environment where it scans it all, cleans it all, and puts it into wherever you want, whether it's a data center with Kascade, whether it's your own secondary data center, whether it's a location that's actually been rebuilt because you've had all your VMs encrypted, and it'll do it cleanly and prevent reinfection. And we also have a concept called threat hunting that will do the same as that curated snapshot, but go through all of your VMware backups and find and contain malware and malicious files within there. And the benefit of doing that, you get the choice to do what the action that you want, whether you contain or delete, because you don't want to be deleting Windows files, for example, because then the VM won't boot. So that's why lots of challenges appear when it comes to the VMware protection. So I'm going to hand back to Barry in a second, but I just want to kind of say, if you want to see kind of a more in-depth demo of anything, even just basic backup, if you come upstairs to the Kascade stand, we're all around. I can do demos for you, and we can have a bit more of an interactive conversation around your kind of needs for backup. But I'll hand back to Barry now, and the Wi-Fi gods did work there, so I'm happy with that.
Fantastic. So a few things. You don't have to believe us with this. We do free proof of concept. So if you want to try putting some of your data on it, you can try what it looks like to manage this and have a look at it. We can do that across the environments that we're able to support on that. So please speak to someone at Kascade to go and do that. In front of you, there is a guide that we have written on data protection. It is not a marketing guide. There is, I think, a page at the back that talks about our two products. The rest of it is practical advice that talks about our recommendations, why things have changed, and what to look at inside your data protection platform. So if we or this isn't the right technology, I don't know why it wouldn't be, for you today, then you can look at that and see how that applies to your environment. You should be getting more out of your backup than just backing up your environment. You should be reuniting your backups, not further disaggregating them across multiple different environments. So we can do free POCs from that side. Come and speak to us about the stands, and I hope you found it useful. Feel free to grab me if there's any questions afterwards. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.